there's so many people that weren't coming regularly pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And then there's people that we've been doing Zoom for months, and they come on Zoom late, come on meditation late, they come strolling in while he's doing du'a. So it's like nobody wants to. Everybody be hearing real tea,
Like, oh, okay. No. Nah,
You don't
we
want
trying
it
to
like
avoid
that
the corner.
Okay.
no.
So he, when he said, I have to move.
The just gonna have to move over again. Okay, my aunt, Kayuti. Okay, my aunt, everybody. We are live. Dua for being patient. I know we're a few minutes late today. So, and also we're in the living room again. Everybody's like, wait a second. I thought y'all said y'all was gonna be back at refill. Which we did intend to do, but we, obviously need to make sure we have the right things in place to be prepared for that change back into an in-person venue. So we have delayed our launch by 2 weeks. We're going to try again on October 4th. So hopefully then we will be in-person communion at Refoul headquarters in Newark, New Jersey. Uncle my aunt, everybody. Good. All right, I see y'all logging in there, getting on the Facebook and on the YouTube. Uncle my aunt, Alton. Yes, good to see y'all. All right, so it's Communion Sunday, so we're gonna start with our dua route, with our daily prayer, and then we will transition into the roll call. So we begin with our Sunday prayer by saying Amatu and Panatir. Sawek tuement impanatir, audu aoma, kedi paheru. The translation: give yourself to Netta daily, keep yourself for Netta daily, and may tomorrow be as today. We give homage to the Creator, who is like our Father and who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything and yet is no one thing, who comes to us in the form of the Neteru Ra, who is the light of the heavens, light of the inner planes, as well as the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Ma'ati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the facts of their place, their position, and their responsibility in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akaru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality, and in the moments of crises, in the dark nights of the soul, when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down, so it is, and so shall it be. Everyone say, Amen, Ma'at. That's gotta be from last time, because I didn't even say Ma'akaru. All right. Well, Ma'akaru, everyone. All right. So let's get the roll call going. I know I already saw a couple of locations. I think I saw New Rochelle is in the house. I think I saw Lower East Side. Manhattan is in the house. So who else is here? Where y'all from? What's up? Brooklyn in the house, Akron, Ohio in the house, Spartanburg, South Carolina's in the building. Nice. Good to see y'all. All the way from Edmond, Oklahoma. Lovely. That's what's up. Yes, yes. Kansas City in the house. Yes. Great. So good to see you. Philadelphia's in the building. Linden, New Jersey. Nice. Good to see you. Yes, yes. Atlanta's in the house. Oof, Erie, Pennsylvania. Very, very good. Good to see you. North Carolina. Newcastle, Delaware. It's getting chilly, so y'all know us black girls gotta have our lip gloss. We can't be. Okay. Yeah. You got it? You got the Wi-Fi? Okay. All right. Virginia's in the house, and Austin, Texas is in the house, and Indianapolis is in the house. Nice, nice. Alton, Harmony. More energy from Atlanta, Georgia. That's what's up. That's what's up. Give thanks. Give thanks. Columbus, Ohio. Nice. All right. So, quick announcement. I'll talk about Kemma in the Cloud again, because I continue to be really excited about Kemma in the Cloud. Oh, shout out Moot Shot. Yes, Priestess Moot Shot from the Bronx is in the house. That's what's up, our sister. Good to see you, love. All right, so Kemma in the Cloud is coming up. It's going to be a 4-hour workshop on Saturday, October 24th. We've been on Facebook and Instagram promoting the various session topics that our initiates are preparing. We have a session on emotional freedom technique, which is also known as tapping, and how you can use that to release things from your energetic field. We have a session on how to put together your first altar and what it is that you need for that. We have a session on breathing and meditation techniques, a session on Hesi from the heart, using chanting in Meduneta to raise your energy. We have a session on candles and how candles are an essential part of the practitioner's toolbox. We'll also have some movement sessions. So we have a womb yoga session, We'll have a session that will really break down dua'u and sacred movement as taught by Nasut Biddy, Rasan Kukeper. The session is not taught by Nasut, but the initiate teaching it is teaching it based on the teachings that she gained from the art of prayer and from other classes and things like that with Nasut. And then I know that we have a session for the men folk as well, like a warrior session called Montufication. That's really going to be about getting that warrior motivation and that fire activated and moving through the body. So a lot of different sessions. I feel like I might have missed one. No offense to if I missed somebody's session, but a lot of sessions going to be offered that day. Once we release the schedule for Kemmunion in the Cloud, you all will have the opportunity to determine the track that you want to take, like which sessions you want to go to at which points during the day. And so just an opportunity to really learn a lot of different things on a lot of different topics for the investment of $18 per person. So it's just $18 a person, 4 hours of sessions, a variety of different topics that you get to learn about. It's all going to be on Zoom. So you don't need to be in person. You don't need to go anywhere. Everybody, it's all virtual sessions. And you can go to Kemmunion in the Cloud on our Facebook page. We have a Facebook event where you can purchase tickets directly in the Facebook event. You can also go to our website, templeofanu.org. There's an event page for Kemmunion in the Cloud there. And you can also go to Eventbrite to purchase a ticket and to register for Kemmunion in the Cloud. So stay tuned for more information in terms of the times of the sessions, details and breakdowns of what each session is going to cover, and things like that is coming out soon. I'm again super excited about this. This is going to be the first time we're offering a session like this, and just wanting to, just really wanted to speak to those of you who really are maybe not sure about whether or not you really want to be Kemetic, or what does it look like to be Kemetic, and like what are some of these practices look like what are some of these things that actually are being done, what are some of the things and how do I do them, and do I want to do them in terms of do I want to adopt this as my lifestyle. So this is going to give you a really good foundation to build off of in terms of making that consideration and then taking a step forward and further into your Kemetic practice. And I know we have a lot of people signed up already who are already Kemetic practitioners, and that's okay too, because there may be things that are being taught that you're learning, an opportunity to reinforce what you already know, and an opportunity to learn things from a different perspective that you didn't know. So it's going to be an amazing afternoon, Saturday, October 24th. You guys should definitely be there with us. I feel like I'm about to be talking a lot. Did you want to say anything? Okay. All right. So I'm going to just go ahead and dive in then. I want to talk about, I'll tell you guys, I'll start by talking about what inspired this conversation that we're going to have today. Nasut and I were watching The Last Dance documentary on Netflix. Have any of y'all watched The Last Dance? That is, 10-part miniseries on Netflix about the 1998 Chicago Bulls winning their second three-peat championship, and just all the things that came together as far as that team was concerned, as far as like Michael Jordan was concerned, and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and all the other members of the team, and just all the many factors that came together to allow them to be able to have that victory and to secure almost like a dynastic age. So if y'all haven't watched the documentary, because I don't see nobody saying they've seen it, if y'all haven't watched it, I strongly encourage you to watch it, because I'm not a basketball fan. I don't like sit down and watch basketball. Never in my life have I just been like, I would like to watch a basketball game. I've never been a basketball fan. But it gave me such significant insight as to the process of becoming excellent. And watching Michael Jordan in action was like watching poetry in motion. And I was able to gain such significant insight and such significant appreciation for his capacity and for what he was able to do as an individual player, and then also as a leader of a team. And so I want to encourage y'all to watch it, not just as a study of like the game, but as a study of like what it looks like when someone fully commits themselves to like self-mastery, quite frankly, like to mastering themselves, to mastering their circumstances, to mastering and controlling all of the things that around them that are in their capacity to control and in their capacity to manage. Like what you see when we're watching Jordan through that documentary is like someone who really maximizes his capacity to be in touch and to be in tune at every given moment of time, right? What I want to acknowledge, right, about watching The Last Dance and about watching Michael Jordan is that many players, and in fact probably every single player who gets into the NBA has talent. Like all of them have this amazing and immense talent for basketball. They're like basketball is a thing that like most young people play, like especially young boys, young men. You learn how to play basketball. You play basketball with your friends, with your father, etc. And so a lot of young men have a talent for basketball, but Michael Jordan cultivated a skill. He cultivated a skill. And it really helped me to distinguish the difference between talent and skill. Talent is like your natural ability. Like talent is like what you're born with. It's like embedded in you, like the capacity to like catch a ball, or the capacity to like sing a note, or the capacity to like dance on rhythm. That's like natural to you. That's like your talent. It's like God-given. It's something that you just naturally have. And a lot of people have some measure of natural talent in something. Maybe we don't all have the same natural talents. We don't all have the same natural talent for the same thing, but we all have some measure of natural talent for something. And what distinguishes a person beyond the natural talent level is the energy that they put into the cultivation of your skill. Your skill is your expertise. Your skill is the ability to use your knowledge effectively and readily. So when we start talking about knowledge, we start talking about the commitment to study, right? We're talking about the commitment to learn. So like we talk about talent is an area where you can master something. And if you master it, you will generate a significant value. But having a talent alone does not mean that you are a master of a field. In order for you to master it, in order for you to maximize it, you have to develop the skill. You have to study it. You have to get to know it. You have to be trained. So talent gives you a choice. Like you have a talent and now you have a choice of whether or not you choose to cultivate that talent and become good at that action, or whether or not you're okay with just middling along with the level of talent that you have. That's your choice. In order for you to have a skill, you have to have a commitment. In order for you to have a skill, you have to make a decision to have knowledge, to be taught, and to cultivate that talent into a skill, and to cultivate that skill into wisdom. Why I love this is because it gives us a new insight into how it is that we talk about our divinity, right? A lot of times we talk about like, how is it that we are going to become divine beings? And I want to really just start to reframe that for us as African people. Like the fact of the matter is that none of us have to become divine beings. Like being divine is our talent, for lack of a better word. Like it is our natural skill. Like we are natural ability. We are born divine. Our divinity is inherent within us. You don't have to become divine. You already have divinity that just from the nature of your existence in the physical plane demonstrates that you are an emanation of the divine force. So you are a divinity incarnate. That is just true of all of us. But what is not true is that whether or not we have skill. Our divinity itself does not mean that we are skilled at Ma'at. Ma'at is a skill. Ma'at is something that requires cultivation. Ma'at is something that requires commitment. If it was true that divinity was all that we needed, you would never see imperfect divinity. And when we look at our ancestral tradition, what we see in our stories and in our metaphor, we see examples of imperfect divinity. We see Sekhmet, who in her imperfection, comes outside of herself and begins to destroy that which is Ma'at, right? She loses sight of her purpose and she goes left, right? And she gets out of control and she has to be brought back into control. That is a demonstration of her imperfect divinity. We see an example of imperfect divinity in Satesh, who loses sight of the higher purpose and the higher meaning of things. And he allows his ego to guide him and to direct him. And that is what causes him to decide that he deserves to be king. And he deserves the accolades. And that's why it's okay for him to murder his brother. This ego state of his and this arrogance of his is a demonstration of his imperfect divinity. Even Aset demonstrates imperfect divinity when she is so anxious and desires so heavily to have magic and to have wisdom and to have power that she risks the life of Ra and poisons him and threatens to allow him to die just so she can learn something, just so she can have access to magic, just so she can have access to power. That imperfection shows us that perfect divinity is not inherent. It is not natural. Perfection needs to be cultivated. So just because we are divine doesn't mean that that's the end of the story. Our perfection requires cultivation. Our greatness requires cultivation. Our ability to live in such a way that we are constantly doing, saying, and being the right things at the right time in the right way requires cultivation. So we have to submit ourselves. We have to submit ourselves humbly and allow ourselves to be taught how to harness our divinity, how to maximize our divinity, and how to direct our divine energies. That is what comprises of the expertise that allows us to say we are skilled at living Ma'at. Okay? Because otherwise, we're just divine beings wreaking havoc in the world. In order to say we are beings of Ma'at, we must cultivate ourselves into skills. So when we talk about cultivation, right, and we talk about practice, essentially, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how does practice make perfect. And Nasit said this many, many years ago. I'm going to go back to something that he taught years ago about how it's not just practice that makes perfect. It is perfect practice that makes perfect. There are certain things that practice needs and certain things that practice requires in order for that practice to elevate you from just talent to skill, right? Practice requires determination, for one. Like, you have to be absolutely determined to become better. Like, you have to approach it to say, I will maximize the capacity that is available to me. I will work harder at this than anybody else will. That was something that we saw Michael Jordan do all through. He was like, at some point or another, he sat down and looked himself in the mirror and was like, I am going to be the best basketball player of all time. I will do this. Not like, maybe I think I can. Like, I'm going to try my best and see what happens. Like, no, I will be the best at this. And that is an indication of determination. And that determination has to be evident in your practice in order for your practice to then make you perfect, right? You also have to have discipline, because you're going to fail. You're going to do it the first time. It's not going to look pretty. It might hurt. You're going to be like, this sucks, right? I could do it better. Why did I'm practicing. Why didn't my practice make me perfect immediately? Like, no, that's not how it works. Jordan was in the NBA in the 80s and he ain't win no championships in the 80s. He needed to practice. He couldn't just give up. You have to be disciplined enough to keep trying and to keep trying the right way, right? And also have the discipline to acknowledge if something isn't working, to try it a different way. And that leads to the humility that you need, right? The humility has to be present in your practice, acknowledging that you don't know everything, acknowledging that you can be taught, that you might need to be taught, that you might need a mentor, that you might need a teacher, that you might need a coach, that you might need someone to reflect you back to yourself, to show you what you're missing or what you might need in your practice that's going to help make you perfect, right? So you have to have discipline. You have to have humility. You also have to have cooperation, right? Like, okay, you've invited this person, this mentor, this coach, this teacher into your life and said, I see that you know something. Please teach me what you know. And then they'd be like, okay, this is what I've noticed that you need to do better. You can't just be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I think that such and such. Like, no. Now that you've invited this teacher and this mentor, you have to cooperate with them. You have to listen to them. You have to keep your ears open to words of right and true. You have to be willing in your heart to acknowledge that maybe they know better. You have to actually allow yourself to be taught. Not just invite someone to teach you, but then also let yourself be taught. Right? And people don't always realize that that's two separate things, right? Like letting someone teach you is one thing, but then accepting the lessons and the feedback and the criticism and the critiques that they have for you is a completely different thing. And you have to have both if you want for your practice to help make you perfect, right? And then lastly, in order for your practice to make you perfect, you have to have self-esteem. You have to believe in yourself. You've decided that you want to be the best. You've identified someone who knows something that you don't know. You've opened yourself up to be taught. You're cooperating with them and you're trying time after time after time. You have to believe that it's possible. You have to believe that you can. Not just you want to, not just you will, but that you can. I do have the capacity to be better tomorrow than I am right now. And that saying that doesn't mean that who I am today isn't good enough. It doesn't mean that who I am today is insufficient. It just means that I am great today and I'm going to be greater tomorrow. Having that self-esteem is a necessary component in order to allow yourself to be cultivated, in order to allow your practice to be perfect so that it makes you perfect. I could phrase this in another way. In order for your practice to make you perfect, you have to have control of your thoughts. You cannot allow negative thoughts about yourself or about your capacity to tear you down or to stop you from achieving what you're striving to achieve. You have to have control of action, the discipline every single day to get up and try again. You fell on the basketball court yesterday. You scraped your knee. You didn't hit that three-point shot. You're going to get up today and you're going to try again. Anyway, you have to have control of your action. You have to have steadfastness of purpose. You have to be convinced that this is not only what you want, but who you are and what you're meant to achieve in the world. This is meant for you. And so you don't deter from that purpose no matter what. You have to have faith in your teacher's ability to guide you on the path of truth. Faith that the person knows what they're doing and that they have the capacity to give you what you need to make you better. And you also have to have faith in your own ability to learn and to act with wisdom. Some of y'all are like, this sounds familiar. You're right. These are the 10 virtues of an initiate. So in order for your practice to make you perfect, you have to be willing to submit yourself to these virtues. Allow these virtues to shine through you. You have to cultivate these virtues within yourself and act with them and through them every single day of your life. Without these qualifications, without the 10 virtues, without this, your practice will eventually be abandoned. You will. You'll stop practicing. You'll stop trying. Because emotionally, you'll get worn out and you'll give up. Mentally, you'll get worn down and you'll give up. Or physically, you'll get worn out and you'll give up. Possibly even all three. Possibly even mentally, emotionally, and physically, you wear yourself out. So what I'm essentially saying is that in order for your practice to make you perfect, your spiritual self has to be on point. Your spiritual discipline has to be on point through the 10 virtues of an initiate. That means your meditations and your altar work and your prayers support your mental tenacity to stay determined and steadfast to your purpose. Your meditation, your altar work, and your prayers support your emotional self-esteem to remind yourself of the indwelling divinity and the capacity for greatness that you have. Your altar work, your prayers, and your meditation, your spiritual life build you up physically so that you don't give in no matter how tired, worn out, no matter how strained the muscles feel, etc. You push yourself until you cannot push yourself anymore because you have a goal. The spiritual work and your spiritual commitment causes you to commit yourself to that goal in all other areas of your life. There is no separation of spirituality over here and then physical over here and then mental over here. It is a full and total integration of your entire self into the accomplishment of your divinity and of your greatness, into cultivating that divinity, into ma'at, into cultivating your talent, into a skill, into cultivating what you can do naturally, into divine and superior excellence. So you must be committed spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And quite frankly, you must be committed spiritually in order for you to stay committed mentally, physically, and emotionally. Y'all with me on this?
Two.
I'm like asking, like it's gonna take them like 30 seconds to answer because of the delay. That's okay. I hope y'all with me. Stay with me, y'all. I'm gonna speak to. I'm gonna read through what our ancestor Kuna Noop has to say on the subject. And for those of you who would like to read along, I am reading from selections from the Hosea on page 33, the very first paragraph on the page. All right. It starts with, there is none quick of speech who is free of hasty words. I'm going to go ahead and read the whole thing, and then I'm going to go back and break it down. There is none quick of speech who is free of hasty words, and none light of heart and mind whose thoughts have weight. Be patient, that you may learn righteousness and restrain your anger for the good of one who enters humbly. No one hasty achieves excellence, and one who is impatient is not leaned on. Let your eyes see and your heart take notice. Do not act harshly with your power, lest a misfortune fall on you. So let's go back. There is none quick of speech who is free of hasty words, and none light of heart and mind whose thoughts have weight. What this is telling us is that we have to be thoughtful and considerate of the things that we say and the things that we do. And the way that we cultivate that consideration is through meditation and through our spiritual work. Things happen to us all the time that we feel like an impulse to immediately react to, right? Like our emotions get messed with, people press our buttons, and we're quick to temper, we're quick to respond, we're quick to speak, we're quick to decide. here's the thing, things that are put out into the universe can never be taken back. Apologies can only go but so far. Someone can even accept your apology, but that doesn't change the fact that you said what you said and you did what you did. And that is on some level a reflection of who you are, right? So as we strive to maximize our divinity, right? To be more perfect in how we express our divinity, and therefore to always bring Ma'at into every situation, to be stewards of Ma'at, to be examples of Ma'at, then we have to learn how to not be quick of speech, how to not say things that we're going to regret and wish that we hadn't said later, how to not be so light and heart that our thoughts don't have any weight, that we're just thinking about stuff that don't matter, that we are consumed by, and our energy is being directed into things that do not assist our perfect practice, right? Like, go back to the 10 virtues that we said that we need. We need at least 5 of those 10 virtues we talked about. The very first one is control of thought. If you don't control your thoughts, then you cannot have the discipline and the dedication and the commitment and the self-esteem that you need to make your practice perfect. And so you cannot have the weight that you need in order to be determined and disciplined day in and day out to the achievement of your goal. It says, be patient that you may learn righteousness. I love that, because it's a reminder that what we said before is true. Ma'at is not inherent. Ma'at is not something that just exists because we say so. Ma'at is a learned behavior. Ma'at is something we can be taught, and therefore Ma'at is something we can choose to do. And when we choose to do, we can choose to do it better today than we did yesterday. And day in and day out and day in and day out, that is our choice, is to learn our lessons, to learn from the example of the day before, and to be more righteous today than we were yesterday. Be patient that you may learn righteousness, and restrain your anger for the good of one who enters humbly. So that's saying learn from those who are reflections or examples of you. If you are being angry and you are unrestrained, and someone else has cultivated themselves and cultivated their menab, their presence of mind, and they have cultivated their perfect practice, learn from that. Restrain yourself. Take a step back. Check your ego. Figure out where you can be made better. Figure out where you can be made stronger. What is this experience and this lesson teaching you about how to be a better practicer of your skill? Your skill is Ma'at. What is this? What is this person's presence teaching you about how you can be a better steward of Ma'at? So restrain your anger, because no one hasty achieves excellence. I love that. No one hasty. If you speeding, you're going to cut corners. You're going to miss details. You're going to lose sight of something. You're going to forget, right? Like, think about something like, you're going to get ready to go to the store. What do you need to take with you? You need a jacket, you need your keys, you need your purse. If you have those bags that you take that are the reusable bags, you need your reusable bags. You might need your shopping list. You know, assuming you have your money is in your purse, but you need money, right? Or you need your mask. Thank you, Katrina. These days you need your mask. If you being hasty, you're going to get in your car, you're going to drive all the way to the store, and then you're going to be like, where's my mask? Now you're going to have to drive all the way back to the house to get the mask, to get your purse, to get your cell phone, whatever it is you left behind, because you weren't paying attention to the details, because you were so quick to jump that you didn't stop to take a breath and take a real assessment of what was going on around you. If you are being hasty and moving too fast, you cannot achieve excellence. One of my favorite things about watching The Last Dance, we were watching Jordan, and there was these moments, these amazing moments. I was like, oh my God, I was totally impressed. There were these moments where, like, the defender, the people who were defending him and trying to stop him from getting the basket, they would, like, jump up, like, stop, you know? And Jordan would hesitate. just long enough for them to fall out of place, and then he would shoot. He wasn't hasty trying to make excellence. He took his time. He breathed through every shot. I was like, oh my God, that looked magical. And it wasn't magic. It was patience. It was meditation. It was steadfastness to his purpose. It was his discipline. It was his perfect practice that made him perfect.
That's not magic.
It looked magical. It is magic, right? But it's magic that any of us can achieve. That's the crazy part. Like, that's the best part. Just because you can't achieve that magic in basketball doesn't mean you can't achieve that magic in some other area of your life. He achieved that magic in basketball. Where can you achieve that magic in your life? That's the question. Where somebody comes up and tries to stop you from getting your goal, and you're like, you know what? The timing's not right. I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to breathe through this. I'm going to check my surroundings. I'm going to make sure the way is open. I'm going to check with Impu. I'm going to check with my ancestors. I'm going to pray on this. Now the time is right. Boom, swish, right? Like, it was such a meditation in action. It was such magic in action. And that's what it means when it says one who is hasty does not achieve excellence. There is no reason to be hasty. Take your time. Check to see that all the circumstances are ready. All of the way is open for you to step into your place.
That's right.
No one hasty achieves excellence, and one who is impatient is not leaned on. That's important too, because some of us, in our process to getting the success we need, other people are going to look to us, right? Like, if you want to own a business, people need to rely on you for services or products. They're going to come to you and ask for your expertise. Like, at the end of the day, we're always assessing each other's character when we have to interact with each other for whatever reason. We're assessing each other's character.
Yeah.
And if you have a poor character, if you're impatient, if you're quick to anger, if you're quick with your words, if you're not thoughtful, then people don't rely on you. They come to be like, I'm going to go get my thing done over there with this person who is more thoughtful, right? Like, if you go to a hairstylist and the hairstylist is like, oh, I totally forgot you was coming in today at 3 o'clock. I double booked you. And you go and you have that happen to you once, twice, 3 times. Are you going back to that person? You know you're not going back to that person. Most of us wouldn't give it a second chance. But if you did give it a second chance and it happened again, you wouldn't keep going back, right? So at the end of the day, your character is important. It matters so much in terms of how other people trust you, rely on you, come to you for services, come to you for your expertise, come to you for your friendship, come to you for your guidance, come to you for support. And if you don't cultivate a character that is worth leaning on, people won't lean on you. They won't depend on you. And then you'll be like, well, I would have been there for you when you needed me. And they'll be like, really? Oh, okay. Because you have not demonstrated the character of one that they would like to lean on. Let your eyes see and your heart take notice. This is like saying pay attention, essentially. Like, pay attention. Like, things shift when you're paying attention. At the end of the day, you notice things and you understand things that you would never notice and you would never understand. There are so many subtle communications that are happening day in and day out. Like, people are telling us what they need from us, what they want from us. People are telling us, like, how they're observing our character and where our faults lie and what are the things that we might need to work on. People are telling us these things all the time. Pay attention. Let your eyes see and your heart take notice. That is how you figure out what are the things that you need to do to achieve the excellence that you're striving for. Keep your eyes and your ears open to wisdom. Know that you don't know everything and that you still have more to learn and more growth to happen. Do not act harshly with your power, lest a misfortune fall on you. Again, like, that's about arrogance. Like, don't be arrogant. Don't be quick. Don't think that just because you know a lot and you have a lot that there isn't more to learn and there isn't more growth to happen. Because all of us have the capacity to grow. All of us have areas where we need to get better. No, none of us are ever going to be done practicing. Even no matter how perfect, so-called perfect we think we're going to get, the minute you stop practicing is the minute you start slipping. That's just a fact. So don't get too arrogant with your power and I'm good, I got it. Like, no, you're not done. There is another level and another layer to be uncovered. There is more work. Even if you just stay at the level you at, the practice keeps you tight. The practice keeps you on point. It keeps you on your A game. The minute you slip off your A game, then all that hard work that you did to build that foundation will come tumbling down. And you don't want that. You don't want to lose the gains that you've made. Dang, I could go back to the last dance on this too. Cause what happened when Jordan took that break and he decided he wanted to play baseball for a couple years. And he conditioned himself to have a baseball body, right? And they were talking about like, oh, the workouts are different for baseball and you emphasize different things. And then he was like, all right, I'll come back to the Bulls. He wasn't ready to come back to the Bulls. He didn't have the right body for the Bulls. He didn't have the right, he had totally let go of all of his basketball skill. Maybe not all of it, but a lot of it. A lot of the skill that he had cultivated in those years before had been taken away or had been reduced or minimized because he spent all this time cultivating himself for baseball. So now he's thinking like, oh, I was only away for a year and a half. No, you slipped. You're going to have to work yourself back up to the place where you were. You're going to have to commit yourself all over again to achieving that pinnacle of excellence again. So the minute you let yourself off, the minute you start giving yourself like, I'm gonna just chill, it's okay. That's that downward spiral. And that comes because we have the arrogance to think that we've done enough. So ultimately, what our ancestor Kunanu is advocating for is the cultivation of a meditative existence. We're not just talking about meditating as like, again, a spiritual life and a spiritual world that exists over here on the side of your life. Like, right, like I have this corner where I go to work and I have this corner where I meditate and I have this corner where I take care of my children. There is no like corners of your life. Meditation is your life. Meditation is your existence. Spirituality is your existence. Spirituality is a part of who you are and everything that you do. And having a meditative lifestyle means that you are existing in perfect oneness with all of creation in your body, your mind, and your spirit. Perfect oneness on all levels. Perfect oneness with yourself and perfect oneness with the Creator and with creation. A meditative lifestyle is allowing the excellence of your divinity to always create and always breathe and always encourage and always reinforce ma'at for you and for everyone else that you encounter in every situation that you are in and in every place where you go. That is what it means to live a meditative lifestyle. It means that you anticipate Isfet before it happens. It means that you are prepared to eradicate Isfet that is approaching you. Like, before the chaos even comes out, you're ready to dispel the chaos that might be lurking in the shadows. Because you've cultivated your meditative lifestyle, your connectedness, your ma'atness, your righteousness. You've cultivated this as not just a way of life, but as who you are intrinsically. Your divinity is made so perfect that it is ma'at, and everything you touch is ma'at, and everything you are is ma'at, and everywhere you go is ma'at, and your energy is so superior that it cannot be overruled or undermined by what anyone else brings to the table or what anyone else brings into your space. Remember, one of the cardinal virtues of ma'at is harmony. So how do we live harmoniously with others? How do we live harmoniously with ourselves? We got to answer that question first. Forget everybody else. How do we live harmoniously with ourselves? How do we make sure we're not at conflict with ourselves, that what we say we want and what we act like we want are not two different things? How do we live in harmony with ourselves where we say, I'm committed to my goal of losing weight, but you still eating these cookies over here? Is that in harmony with yourself? Are you living in harmony with yourself? I'm going to have the discipline to practice and to work out for 2 hours a day, but you spent those 2 hours watching television. Are you living in harmony with yourself? How are we cultivating that meditative lifestyle and making sure that we are at one with ourselves, who we say we are, who we say we want to be, and who we truly are, all unified, all on the same page, and all committed to actualizing the same goals. And then, once you have mastered harmony with yourself, then you can start to master harmony with other people. Because you can't master it externally if you haven't mastered it internally, right? And that's why the spiritual practice has to be integrated deeply into everything we are and everything we do. It's just not a separate thing. It is our lifestyle. It is our way of life. And when we do that, that's when our lives look magical too. That's when our existence look like poetry in motion too. And then people start saying things like, wow, every time you step into the room, the energy of the room just feels so much lighter and brighter. Why is that? Because my life is magical. But it's not magical inexplicably. I work really hard to make this magic happen. 2 weeks ago, Nasit talked about adversity and Haru and the hero. And he said the hero, the Haru, needs Satesh representing the adversity, because the adversity gives the hero something to aim for, right? If you have an adversity, then you're motivated. Like, I must overcome this challenge. I must defeat this enemy. I must get over this thing, right? Like, this adversity motivates you and it drives you and it gives you something to strive for. And in my thinking about this and reflecting in this, I'm reminded that most of the time, the adversity that we faced is ourselves. Like, we are always, it's 90% of the time, it's you against you. You know what I'm saying? I recently took up dance, and what I'm learning in the dance is like it's me against me, right? Like, so I am comparing myself to where I was last week, and I'm better this week. But then also I know that I'm capable of being better next week. So I'm pushing against myself, pushing myself harder, saying to myself, don't settle for where you are. Don't settle for letting this version of yourself be good enough. Push yourself harder, push yourself further, make yourself reach the maximum capacity. That is more than anything the adversity that we face. That the part of ourselves that just wants to stay in bed a little bit longer, the part of ourselves that just wants to lay out on the couch, the part of ourselves that just wants to chill and doesn't want to have to work hard. That's the adversity that we're facing. More than anything, is always more ourselves than it is any outside person or entity or thing. Not to say that the outside entity doesn't happen. Sometimes we do have outside adversities or outside adversaries. That's true too. But don't mistake that sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and we are fighting against our own impulses, and we are pushing ourselves to overcome the challenges that are generated from within ourselves. And that's why cultivating inner harmony is necessary before you can have external harmony, right? But I want to also expand that a little bit and talk about the other driving force for Haru. Because yes, the adversity pushes and motivates Haru, but the other reason why the adversity pushes him is because he has a reason. Haru, the hero, has a reason. He has an inspiration. He has a motivation. He has a why. And that why in our tradition is embodied through the Netert Het-Haru. Het-Haru represents the inspiration. Het-Haru represents the reason. Het-Haru represents why the Haru wants to achieve what he set out to achieve. That beauty that he aims to establish, that harmony that he aims to establish, that love that he wants to feel, that joy, that victory, that is Het-Haru energy. That is the motivation. Why do you want this thing? That is your why. That is your Het Haru driving force. So as we seek to be heroes of our own story, right? As we seek to cultivate our divinity into perfect expressions of Ma'at, as we make our practice perfect, as we make our talent into skill, we have to not only face our adversaries, but we have to remember our why. We have to remember what inspires us and what motivates us and what pushes us to engage in that fight against our adversary day in and day out. What reason do we have to want to be better, to desire to be better, to be determined to be better, to believe we can be better, to be committed to be better? What reason? What is our motivation? Why are we doing it? And as long as we stay connected to our why, that is going to give us the empowerment we need to stay focused against our adversary, to stay committed to developing steadfastness of purpose, to have control of thought, control of action, to submit humbly to our teachers, and to therefore cultivate the level of excellence that we are capable of. We are capable of so many great things. We really are. But at the end of the day, if we are not driven and motivated, if we are not inspired, if we do not push ourselves and encourage ourselves and believe in ourselves, we can accomplish nothing. We can accomplish nothing if we don't try. We can accomplish nothing if we don't try. We can accomplish nothing if we don't want to accomplish it. We can accomplish nothing if we don't push ourselves. So we, as the hero of our own story, we must remind ourselves of why we're doing it, and then stand up and face our adversary at every single turn with the tenacity of the 10 virtues, with making sure that those principles are active in our practice, and striving to be divine in whatever talent and skill that we choose for ourselves, the way that Michael Jordan was divine in his basketball, and that was his talent and his skill that he chose for himself. We could be the Michael Jordan of our thing if we want to. That's the message for today. Okay? So, dua neta to everybody.
I think that was worth at least $5.
Yeah.
The donation information is already up.
Two, dua neta. All right. Ma'akara already posted the information for those of you who would like to and are able to make a donation today to our efforts. You can send a cash app to $ Temple of Anu. You can also use PayPal, templeofanu@gmail.com to send a donation for our work. We thank you so much for the reciprocity that you show, for the energy that we've given today. The donation is your energy given back to us, and it allows us to continue to build and continue to strive and continue to be available to all of you as you all continue in your perfect practice. For those of you who cannot make a donation, that is okay. We will be back here on live video in 2 weeks, Sunday, October 4th for Kemmunion. We will be on both spaces, Facebook and YouTube. And fingers crossed, hopefully we will be live streaming from Refile headquarters back in person for our in-person communion session. We're really looking forward to that. But in the meantime, stay blessed and stay well. Shamim Mateh.
Amen.